It's so important when we hear the immensity of the challenge that faces us, that we find ways in which we can make a difference and we don't succumb to that sense of powerlessness. I've been asked to talk about what we're doing very, very locally. So to hone the camera down from the satellites down to West Sussex, I founded a charity called Life Centre. There's quite a large team of us now working across West Sussex, supporting survivors of rape and sexual abuse, men, women, children, boys and girls. We offer counselling and play therapy. Our primary calling is to provide excellent healing to anybody who's carrying the trauma of sexual abuse. Now, you will appreciate in our society, the majority of people who've been raped and sexually abused are not victims of trafficking. Having said that, some of the people who come to us at Life Centre have been victims of trafficking in this area. To give you an idea of the scope, well, we started in 2001. Since we started, in total, we have seen nearly 3,000 adults at Life Centre face-to-face. That's without our helpline services. The helplines take roughly 15,000 contacts a year, so I won't give you the figures for those. But face-to-face counselling, nearly 3,000 adults and nearly 1,000 children. Just last year we saw 468 people total in 2015. 116 of those were children. And we've started working with the very young children. We've taken on play therapists. So we currently have several 3, 4 and 5-year-olds that we are helping. People often say to me, isn't it quite dark and depressing work to do what you do? But the truth is, it's not. The truth is, when we touch people at that most broken place in their lives, it is just such a privilege to see the healing that comes. A 15-year-old girl said to us last week, I'm going to read so you get the exact quote, but she'd come to the place where she felt she could leave us at Life Centre. She said she came to us to learn to heal. And then at the end, she said, this is what happens when you get older, you can't read your own typing. Let me just find it. She said it was time to go because she was like a butterfly again now, and you wouldn't keep a butterfly coming back to a small room, small counselling room, when it was ready to fly free, would you? And the truth is, we can help people rebuild the other side of trauma. But what the big challenge for us is to reach out to those people. And when we start thinking about trafficking in Sussex, it is very invisible. I spoke to our police before coming to this event, and the figures in terms of the police knowledge in Sussex is practically nobody that they're in contact with. So in 2014, there were 8 NRM referrals. That's the national referral mechanism where the police refer anybody that they find who's been trafficked. 8 NRM referrals made in Sussex, and 2 of those were for minors, 1 female, 1 male. In 2015, there were 6 NRM referrals made in Sussex, again 2 for minors, but none of those were for sex trafficking. That does not mean that sex trafficking isn't happening in Sussex. We had a young lady come to us who was working in a car wash very near to where I live. I won't quote where because that starts to get political. But we discovered that her passport had been taken from her. Obviously that alerted us. We then start talking more to her, discover she's sleeping on the car wash floor at night. And then we discover that the owner of the car wash place is coming for sexual favours from her at night. She came to Life Centre and we supported her, we reported it to the police, etc. It is going on, and I just want to encourage us to build relationships, just to chat. Because the police are struggling to find these people. That's the truth. The statistics show that the police are finding very, very few people. But you know, any of you who live in Chichester would have used that car wash. I promise you. And actually, it's as simple as being friendly, chatting to people, finding out their story. Where do you live? Oh, I sleep on the car wash floor. Ah. And what does that involve? Picking up where people are vulnerable. Because sexual abuse doesn't just happen. It happens when people are vulnerable. Very, very few people are raped and sexually abused just by strangers, random attacks. It does happen. In the Worthing papers at the moment, a lady was raped. Well, we've got a lovely open letter going out this Thursday. Read the Worthing Herald with other victims from Life Centre supporting her. Yes, it happens, but they are the tiny, tiny percentage. Most sexual trauma happens where people are vulnerable. And that's within families, it's within workplace, it's where there's any power from somebody over them. And actually, we can be the eyes of our community. You know, it takes communities to change communities. Never feel that you're disempowered. And actually, that comes from the very basics of being friendly. Finding out people's stories. And then when you do hear things that would alert you, then having courage. Having courage to always stand with those who are vulnerable, not with the institution. I spoke to somebody last week and I was absolutely appalled. I'll be very careful what I don't say. But he was giving child protection training, and I could hear in the way he was talking that he felt incredibly conflicted as to whether to always report when we know that a child is being abused, because he had huge concern for the reputation of the people that we might be reporting and the institutions that they were part of. That's what creates a society where your Jimmy Saviles can abuse hundreds of children. We have a huge challenge in our society. Will we just be shocked at Jimmy Savile, Rolf Harris and all the other people that have made headlines? Or will we actually become a different society? And the jury is out. I don't know whether we're learning from that or not. But it's down to you and me, grassroots citizens, that when a child comes to play in our house and we pick up something, or when we chat to somebody in a local car wash, or whatever it is, that we have the courage to speak out. And it's as simple as going to social services. That's how we do it, just to be very practical. Once we can reach these people, then healing is possible. And that's the privilege we have at Life Centre, to be able to do that. But that healing will never come until we can make the connections, until those people can be connected to safety and to healing. And that's where all of us can come in. So I want to encourage us not to get overwhelmed by the immensity of it, which is so easy to do. Yes, be stirred, be motivated, be energized by the immensity of it. And then find your little patch of earth, wherever it is you're placed, your 5 loaves and fishes, whatever you have in your hands that you can do to be proactive. And let's work together to be global citizens and local citizens to make a difference, because that difference can happen. I want to end with another quote from a young girl who came to us. She was 10 years old. She said, "It's important everyone has a special person to talk to. Mine is you. Coming here to Life Centre gives me a time I can talk about what worries me with someone who doesn't judge me." And an 11-year-old boy, "Play therapy has helped me let go of stuff that was weighing me down. my fears don't seem as big anymore. And that's what we want to bring to people. There is healing the other side of complex trauma, but we have to reach the people first to be able to give that and to connect up. So I want to encourage you to have eyes open, and that's a lot of what the objective of this whole initiative is, that we become more aware so that we can be those hands and feet on the ground who will have courage to report, to support people, to give them the strength that they need at that critical hour, rather than walking by blinded, too busy to get on with our Tesco shopping or whatever we're off to do, to create the time to make space for the vulnerable. Thank you.